Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to take a look at Dewgong. This is a fantastic little budget deck that can take some really big knockouts on the standard ladder. Let's talk about what Dewgong is all about. It has two attacks. One of them is very strong. Flow return for 2 colorless energy deals 40 damage times the amount of water energy that you shuffle into your deck from your Pokemon in play. That means if you can get a whole bunch of water energy onto your Pokemon, you can theoretically deal 400 plus damage in a turn. That is a really nice number. Now the question is, how do I actually get that many energy in play? Well, I'm going to use this Finneon. He has the ability Oceanic Accompaniment, which is very good at getting water energy into play because it allows us to attach as many water energy as we like to a Pokemon of ours that has Swim Freely. Now you'll notice I didn't talk about the second attack from Dewgong. That is Swim Freely. It's for 1 energy. We're not really going to be using it. The only reason that we care that it has that ability is because it allows Finneon to attach energy. That is really good, and it means we can theoretically get some really big knockouts in this game up against V-Star and V-Max Pokemon. Now we have an issue. We do need to have the energy in our hand, so we have a 3-2 line of Eldegoss in this deck. It has the Cotton Lift ability, which allows us to, once per turn, search our deck for 2 energy and put them into our hand. If we get 2 Eldegoss in play, we can search for 4. That means that we're going to be dealing a pretty consistent amount of damage in the mid to late game when we get these Eldegoss set up. We also have access to Radiant Greninja. Since we're running water energy, we've got a whole bunch of different options to draw cards. Radiant Greninja is one of them. We can also use things like Irida, a really strong water supporter. It's kind of hard to say, where we can search for a water Pokemon and an item card of our choice. This is really good, especially looking for cards like Capacious Bucket, which we run 4 of, again allowing us to search for more energy when we need it. This is really fantastic. The card, though, that I think is the big one, the fantastic option in this deck, is Nessa. Nessa is this very powerful swing supporter card that lets us take 4 in any combination of water or water Pokemon or water energy from our discard pile. That can be really huge in the late game. If we've got a Dewgong in play already, we can Nessa for 4 energy out of the discard pile and get those into play. Or if we need to have another attacker, the Dewgong in the discard pile can be brought back thanks to Nessa. We only run a couple of copies of this card, but I think it's probably the best supporter in the deck. Beyond that, we also run Cynthia's Ambition. That's one of the best things about running a single prize deck, is that we can afford to play these very powerful supporters because we're going to be able to use them more often than not. A really cool deck list. This one has come directly from Shintaro Ito, and if you want to check out his channel, if you're a person that speaks Japanese, then there's a link down in the description, as is a list which you can copy directly into Pokemon TCG L or Pokemon Online. Let's jump into a couple of games with Dewgong and see if we can't manage to win some. Alright, here we go. It is time to see whether we can get a win with this deck, and we are playing against Zoroark, which I think is going to be, I think that's a sign of good things to come. Let's set our board up here. We can grab Gossifleurs. We can also grab Finneon. If we want, we can grab Seel. We've got a Finneon in the active at the moment, which I like. We're going to leave that there. We're going to attach an energy to Seel on the bench. Then we're going to go for our Radiant Greninja. We'll concealed cards, discard this water energy, and see what we can find. A Dewgong and a Capacious Bucket is incredible. We'll hold on to that for next turn. It is unlikely that our opponent takes a knockout this turn, which means that we may be able to push for one ourselves. We will wait and see. Hopefully it all works out. Also, let me know in the comments if you enjoy the new camera that I am filming on. It's not necessarily a new camera, it's more that I have a new phone and I am filming with the new phone from a different method. We're trying something new, and if it works, it's fantastic. If it doesn't work, I need to re-record the entire video because yeah, I've kind of kind of set myself up here hoping that we're going to actually have a green screen behind me. To be brutally honest, if it doesn't work, I'll probably just do some awkward cropping and I'll just be very small. But that's okay. We're going to try our best. We're going to try our best to put together something that's actually viewable. If you're struggling to see, then let me know in the comments. If you think it looks better, let me know in the comments. Just generally, please talk to me. I'd appreciate that. We'll see how it goes going forward, and it means that I can use my other phone now as well, which is good. I can use that for other things. If I want to set up a second camera, I can set up a second camera, because this is what I was using my camera in the past. Alright, so it looks like a damage mover has come down from the Gengar, moving some damage around, which is fantastic. Now I know, by the way, that I'm getting phone calls, so I hope that the phone call isn't ruining the recording. It's our turn, and we've found Eldegoss off of the top deck here, which is even better. Let's play that down. We'll play down the Dewgong. We will play down the Capacious Bucket. We have almost all of the cards that we need just in our hand, ready to get ourselves a KO on this Gengar. Now, we could potentially be a little bit sneaky and hold the Cynthia in our hand. We'll see what we get off of the Greninja. We've got a Bucket and a Seel. This is very, very interesting. We've got a lot of energy that we can chuck into play here. I'm not sure, to be honest, whether I want to play the Cynthia now or later. I kind of feel like we might just play it, but it does depend, of course, on a number of factors. Let's chuck an energy on the Finneon. That will allow us to retreat, and we can also move some energies onto our Dewgongs using Oceanic Accompaniment, which will allow us to use Flow Return 40 damage from any of our Pokemon, so we can chuck it on any of our Dewgong here, and we will be able to get that knockout. Let's retreat. We'll go into our Dewgong with 2 energy. And I think we will play this Cynthia. I know that it might not necessarily be optimal, but I like the idea of at least being able to draw some cards to see what we get next turn. And I think, to be honest, we've got a pretty solid hand. Alright, let's use Flow Return here. We need a couple of energy. 4, 8, 12, I think is enough. We'll take them all off of this Dewgong on the bench. We have access to the Nessa in our hand, which will allow us to get those energies back, plus Training Court means that it shouldn't be that big of a deal. We also have Gossifleur in our hand, which means next turn we can potentially set up to have double Eldegoss, which I'm a big fan of. Now, thank you very much, by the way, to Jay Sparksy, who is the person I am playing against in these games today. I have asked him if he's happy to play in a recording. He said yes, and we are just chucking some stuff against the wall. The reason for that is because the standard ladder on live at the moment, one, is not necessarily easy to find games. The player base is just that little bit smaller, and there are still a few matchmaking issues which create a bit of drama. So that is a bit of an issue, but the real thing that I'm finding difficult at the moment with live particularly is finding games against decks that are of meta quality. That means that essentially I'm throwing these decks together, I'm chucking them out on the ladder, and I'm playing against a lot of decks, just nothing that's really super strong. So I want to show off these type of things against Pokemon, against decks that you will play against at League, and I think that that's more valuable than not. The key thing is we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing just in general. We don't know what decks we're going to be playing. We're not going to create drama by maybe like manipulating the games or anything like that. It's purely to make sure that you can see some games that are actually worth watching, frankly, because I can imagine that sitting down and watching me play against 6 Blizzies in a row is not going to be valuable for you. So, our opponent's taken that knockout. We've got 270 damage that we need to deal next turn, and that's a little bit difficult. 280 damage is, what, 7 energy on the field, and that is not necessarily achievable right now. We can get 5 off of this Nessa, but I want to get the energy back with we want to get the Seel and the Dewgong back. That's what I'm trying to get at. I want those back. We can Training Court here, grab ourselves an energy. There's 2 energy left in the bin, which means we can theoretically go for an Ordinary Rod. I am going to Radiant Greninja here and see what we can find. because I don't necessarily need to take a knockout this turn. I'd obviously like to, but I don't need to. And we'll just set ourselves up here to get as many energy as possible in the future. Like, it's not that big of a deal if we whiff a knockout now. We just need to make sure that the next turn we are able to take big KOs. So I will bench this Gossifleur, and we're going to start setting up this Oceanic Accompaniment to get as many energy on this attack as possible. Now we'll chuck a couple on the benched Dewgong, we'll get 4 on the active, and then we can flow return here. I think, are we actually there? Could we take this knockout? You know, if we had have actually not gone for that Greninja play, we might have actually been able to do it. We're going to get rid of just 4 here. That's going to give us about 160 damage. That'll half hit the Zoroark. As long as our opponent doesn't play something like Sharon, then we will be okay to take a knockout next turn. The big issue will be if they choose to retreat. If they choose to retreat, that will be frustrating, but at least if they choose to retreat next turn, we have access to double Eldegoss. We shouldn't have too many problems finding energy. I don't like the fact that they've replaced the Gapejaw Bog. That's very frustrating. But that's okay. They've just gone for the knockout, so we should be able to get a KO next turn. Now, our opponent might actually be bricking a little bit. They haven't played too many cards in the last couple of turns. They've already used their V-Star ability, so it's not like well, they're not going too well. Let's put it that way. They're not having such a great time. Now we can play the Seel down. We've also got an Eldegoss. This Eldegoss will allow us to search out 4 energy this turn. I'm just double checking. We've got 1 energy in the discard pile. So we can grab 2 off of this Eldegoss. We can grab 2 off of the other Eldegoss. And we need 4. Is it 4 or 3? I think it's 4. To get ourselves a knockout on the Zoroark. Let's use concealed cards. Discard a couple of things here. Evo Incense for next turn is quite good. I will Ordinary Rod and put the energy back with the Dewgong for next turn. And then I think we're okay to Oceanic Accompaniment a couple of energies to the Dewgong in the active. Whoops, the wrong one. I'm just trying to attach to the Finneon then. So we'll put 2 on the Dewgong in the active. And then I think we should be fine for a knockout. Let's play down this Air Balloon. We will flow return here. And we will give ourselves guaranteed KO. 4's 160. It's 320. We probably could have done 1 less. That's okay. We could have done 1 less. I held the energy in the hand, by the way, because I want to make sure that if we don't get something good off of these prizes, which we haven't, we've got access to concealed cards. Because the last thing I want is for us to just dead draw here and completely whiff. There's an Oranguru for our opponents, and they'll be able to look at a couple more cards here. Hopefully they find some stuff, frankly, because if they don't, they're going to be hard-pressed to push any harder to get knockouts here. I'm just realizing I probably didn't need to hold the energy because Eldegoss searches for them. Oh well, we live and we learn. It's like the key thing of the deck. Eldegoss searches for energy, adoy. So we need to make sure we remember that. Here's the Eldegoss into the active with the Air Balloon. We've got copies of Evo Incense in hand, which means that Dewgong is not going to be an issue. We can search for that. We'll actually play both of those right now, even though we only have 1 Seel in play. We want to draw as many cards out of the deck as possible for this Radiant Greninja. This Radiant Greninja is actually really important. We need to hit a Quick Ball or a Seel out off of this in order to maintain attackers, because if we whiff, we're going to be in trouble. We get the Quick Ball. Okay, so Quick Ball can remove a VIP Battle Pass and can grab us a Seel. This is really good. It means that Level Ball can be an out for Finneon if it gets gusted. Very awkward. But more importantly, we actually have a solid attack here. We can Oceanic Accompaniment 5 energy to the active. It's not going to be enough to get a KO on the Zoroark. We've whiffed the extra energy. We would have needed, what was it, 7 to get the KO. We've got 5. And that's okay. We can hit with the flow return here. And then 200 damage. We should be okay still to win this game. Again, as long as our opponent doesn't play Sharon. But again, they haven't actually used Cheren yet. They haven't done anything. So hopefully they continue to brick, and this Oranguru doesn't help them. We've got 3 energy and a Dewgong and a Seel in the discard pile. So if we come upon a Nessa, we'll be able to search those out. Here comes a damage pump. Moving some damage off of a Crobat. I think it is. Just to make that maths a little bit more difficult. Okay. 160 is a nice round number, 170 is not. And here comes the Zoroark. They will be using Ticking Curse. Thank you very much, everyone, by the way, for commenting in the last video. If you missed it, Zoroark called it Tickling Curse the entire game. It was not ideal, but that's alright. Let's see what we find. We've got Level Ball here. We can grab a Seel. And second Level Ball, if we want to, can grab ourselves Finneon. We've got energy in the deck for sure, but we really need to find a supporter, because that is the one thing that we have been missing. Luckily, our opponent hasn't been able to put on too much pressure, because if we were being pushed, we might have actually lost this game. There's still a chance. Cynthia's Ambition and a Training Court is actually really good. We'll play down the Seel here. We'll play down the Dewgong. We probably should have played the Training Court, to be honest, before we played the Seel down. Not that it makes any difference. They're not going to be realistically hitting us for too much damage. Now, we can knock out this Zoroark with 2 shuffles, so we're not going to be too worried about that. We will attach to the Seel on the bench, and then we will retreat into our Dewgong. We can hold this. We can play the Cynthia. We shouldn't hold it. We can play it. I was going to say we can hold the Cynthia. We don't need to. We'll grab an energy off of the Training Court, and then we can shuffle in 2 with Flow Return to get 270 damage on this here Zoroark, which I like. All right, so now the situation is as follows. Next turn, we need to take 1 big KO. That bucket probably guarantees it, to be honest. I'm looking at my hand here, and I'm saying I need, what, 8 energy next turn. We got 2 from the Eldegoss. We got 2 from the second Eldegoss. We got 2 from the bucket. We've got 3 in hand, and we've got the Irida for another bucket and a Dewgong. So we should be able to get a KO. If our opponent takes a knockout, and that's all it looks like it's going to be, we should be able to get a really big knockout on Seel here. I just don't actually know if we have a Dewgong in the deck. If we don't, we can Ordinary Rod for it, so it's not that big of a deal. There's a Nessa as well, so Nessa might actually do it. We'll grab a couple of energies. We have no problems with that. Let's Cotton Lift. There's going to be 2 more in there for us. We can grab those. We only have 6 cards left in the deck. We might just Nessa here. We'll Nessa for the Dewgong and double energy. Actually, we don't even need the Dewgong. We just need, we don't even need the Seel. We just need the energy. We have 10 energy in our hand. Let's throw down the Dewgong and stack all of these energies with Oceanic accompaniment. There's 10 of them. Look at all these energies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the number after 9. That means we have 11 energies on our Dewgong. We are going to be dealing a significant 440 damage with Dewgong this turn. And there's a world where maybe we could have gone harder at this. Let's just click, 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 click. We could have gone a little bit. Look at all these energies on the screen. Just all the way across. A massive knockout on the Zoroark for our last prize to win the game. And there's that final Dewgong coming out of the prizes. Would have been good to have that a little bit sooner. Second game, and we'll see what we're up against here. Our opponent is playing Radiant Gardevoir, which is a different card than we've seen. And we've got Colress's Experiment here, and an Arceus. I think we might be looking at the Salt Lake City regional winning Goodra deck. A Metal Energy almost confirms that. Our hand is not ideal, and we are going second, but we will be able to do something, right? We'll be able to do something that not many people really think about when they're considering the fact that this deck plays Eldegoss. We have Gossifleur. Right? We have Gossifleur, which is probably one of the best setup attacks in the game. We can attach to Gossifleur and then use Call for Family to search for up to 3 Pokemon to put on our bench. And this is a very imposing turn 1. We have double Seel, we have double Gossifleur, we have Finneon, and Radiant Greninja, and that means that we will be able to get a bunch of energy in play next turn, especially if our opponent is able to take a knockout. If they knock out Gossifleur out, we have Dewgong, we have Cynthia, Level Ball, we have a whole bunch of cards in our hand that are very, very strong, and will be more than capable of getting a big knockout. Now, hopefully, our opponent isn't able to set up a couple of Goodras, because now that I'm thinking about it, Goodra has 280 HP, which in and of itself is not that big of a deal. We can deal 288 damage. 280 damage plus 80 resistance is another question. So we will wait and see. They did not get a knockout, which means that now we're in a position where we have... Oh, well, I was about to say where we have double Eldegoss access, but unfortunately, we only have one Eldegoss in our deck. So it's going to just be the one. We'll grab some energy here, and now we can start using our Finneon to get some attachments. And Irida is really good there as well, off of that Radiant Greninja. That now means that we can retreat into the Dewgong. We can use the Irida to get a whole bunch of energy. We can get a... let's go with another Dewgong and a Capacious Bucket. We can use that bucket to search for more energy and get ourselves going. And the best thing that can happen to us here, hopefully, is that we take a prize and get the second Eldegoss. If we get the second Eldegoss, we will be cruising in this match. I am absolutely 100% going to guarantee it. I think that an extra Eldegoss, I don't think it guarantees us the win, but it certainly gives us a really, really strong chance. Now, flow return here, we're going to need to shuffle in 4 energy, so we'll get rid of the 2 from the Dewgong in the active, and then 2 from the benched Dewgong as well. 4, 8, 12, 16. 12 isn't enough, we have to go for the 4, so we'll shuffle those in. And we get the Eldegoss of the prizes, let's see. There's a certain element of macabre to that, isn't there? A certain element of schadenfreude to see me get the Gossifleur instead of the Eldegoss. Man. Okay, so they're going to take a knockout next turn. We've got double Cynthia. Also, we've got energy in the discard pile, so Training Court is active. I'd really like to just have a second Eldegoss. If we had the second Eldegoss, I would be feeling so much more confident. But there's no way for us to get it. We'll just have to take some prize cards. What do you reckon? I think prize cards is the way to go. As I was saying, 280 damage on a Goodra is not that big of a deal, but 280 plus the extra 80 from the damage resistance from the attack, the damage reduction, is a big, big issue. 360, still a multiple of 4, which is nice, but it's 9 instead of 7. And 9 is a very big number. It's a very big number. Avery's a pain in my butt as well. Okay. Well, I mean, we can get rid of the Gossifleur, because I know that we're never getting the second Eldegoss next turn. And we've got the Gossifleur in hand. Not a fan of getting rid of the Greninja, but it does mean we have some space to play some cards down. We'll see whether or not it's going to completely ruin our chances of winning this game. I don't think it will, but it just means that our life's just that little bit more difficult, so we'll wait and see. There's a couple of attachments onto the Hisuian Goodra on the bench. Actually has 270 HP. Not that that impacts the maths, but just before anyone says something in the comments. We've got a Heavy Ball. That's a good card to get. We'll get another basic here with a Seel. Very nice. And then the Gossifleur can also come down. I'm thinking we might go for a Training Court here. We might just set our energies up already. Because if we Cynthia, we want to draw as many cards as possible. So I think maybe we just play out as many cards as we have. And then go from there. Let's Oceanic Accompaniment. I kind of want to draw into energy, though, off of this Cynthia, so we will go for it. There's also an argument to potentially using Nessa that turn as well to get the Dewgong and the Greninja back. That would have been good. Here's a couple of energy though. Capacious Bucket, very nice. And we have access to at least one other seal, which is good. I'm going to quick ball away Finneon here. We're going to grab that seal right now. That way we've got double Dewgong next turn, and we can send a whole bunch of, firstly, cards from our hand onto the field, but also a whole bunch of energy into play as well. Now we've got 4 energy here. This takes us to 6. We needed 7 to get the knockout. We're not going to get the knockout, and that's okay, but we can attach to the benched seal and then flow return for 200 damage. That's really solid. It means that if our opponent plays something like a Hyper Potion, we should still be okay, and we should still be within the realms of possibility to take a knockout. But it also means that we've got potential one-shot ability with the seal and the energy on the bench if there is a situation where that Goodra comes into the active. It's going to be hard, for sure, but we definitely have the possibility of getting that attack off at the moment, which I think is better. It's better than nothing, isn't it? Now, we've got to wait and see. Can the Arceus set up another Goodra V-Star? I think they... Well, I mean, yes. That's the answer. A boss into Finneon is very, very awkward. Okay, this creates a very interesting situation. Obviously, our opponent identifying that we just discarded a Finneon. Now, we play 3, and we know it's not prized, because we've seen it in the deck. Also, we didn't get the chance to grab it from the... the level ball, or whatever supporter we used, whatever thing we used. I think that our best choice here is to attach manually and then Cynthia for 6. I think that's our best option. We've got 27 cards in deck. A lot of them are ball search. It should be possible. We found double level ball, so we did get there, and that's fantastic. We can grab ourselves that extra Finneon. But the problem now is that if the third Finneon gets knocked out, we will need to use Nessa to get it back. It's not that big of a problem at the moment, but it's definitely something to be aware of. We'll level ball for the Manaphy just to thin that out of the deck. We don't want cards that aren't available to us or not useful to us to be in there. We just want energies, frankly. And now we've got 8. We've got 8 energy in our hand, right? Or in the field of play. So what we're going to do, since we only need to shuffle 2, we are going to split up a couple of energy here, and then we're going to click Flow Return. We are going to shuffle 2 energy, 1 from each of our benched Dewgong, into the deck. Now, the reason for that is, if they Gust knock out the Finneon, we need to play Nessa, right? We need to. If they don't, and they knock out the Dewgong instead, then we can simply Nessa anyway, get those energies back, and then start attacking. Because this is the turn that we need to have a really, really big one. We must get, 9 energy in play to knock this Goodra out. It has 270 HP, which is 7 energy already. Then after its attack, it will require an extra 2, so we need 9. At the moment, we have 4. 5 is very achievable. We can Eldegoss for 2. We can Nessa for 2, and we can also Irida potentially for a couple as well. So we will see. 5 should be achievable, especially with Irida. Now that the training... Oh, we've got Training Court in hand. It's not that big of a deal. I was about to say, now that the Training Court's gone, maybe it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but we should be okay to get this knockout. I think it's 9. Let's see if my maths is correct. And if this knockout happens, we put ourselves in a nice position to try and win the game. We will need to do this again in our next turn. But we're going to take 2 prizes this time, because we have the bucket, so we're all good. We're going to get that knockout. We have 2 prizes to take. If one of them is Eldegoss, then we might be able to sneak ourselves a victory. If one of our prizes is Eldegoss here, we might be able to sneak a victory. Let's grab 2 energy from the Eldegoss. We'll grab 1 from the Training Court. Because we have 2 in there. So we will grab one. Actually, no, Nessa's not the right move. We can just Irida. Nessa's fine, though, right? Because Irida can grab our stuff next turn. Irida can grab our stuff next turn. That's the key. That's the key, Mitch. Irida can grab us things next turn. We don't need to worry. We don't need to worry, because if we Nessa, then we get to Greninja for some more cards. I think we're going to be fine here. So, I mean, we had it guaranteed, but we're going to go for it just that little bit harder. We're going to go for it just that little bit harder. And, well, I mean, it's an extra energy that we didn't even need. It's handy. I just realised how bad of a play that was. We could have just thrown that away completely. But that's fine. We're going to chuck a whole bunch of energy into play here. We have 6, 7, 8 on the active, plus 2 on the benched Dewgong. That means that we will be able to take a KO here with our flow return. Let's just ping all 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. Let me just double check this maths. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and then 24 again, and 28 again, because of the reduced damage is 360 minus 80, 280. That's a knockout. We've got it. Now we just need the Eldegoss off of the prizes, and we get that as well. Okay. We are looking very, very good for another knockout here. We've got 4 energy off of the Eldegoss. We've got Cynthia's ambition to draw as many cards as possible. We should be okay. Even if our opponent evolves into a Goodra V-Star, we will have everything we need. We will have everything we need. As long as they don't have... okay, so they don't have the Goodra. They don't have the Goodra. Okay, so that means I think we just guaranteed the victory. I think we've just won. I think we just won. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get a big KO here, right? Get an energy. I like the energy. Let's grab ourselves an Eldegoss. We're going to Irida. We're going to grab a bucket. We're going to throw that bucket and grab a couple of energies. There are 9 in the deck. We're going to Cotton Lift. Could we have gotten to 9 anyway? Like, even if there was a big Goodra V-Star in the active, would we have gotten there? We've got 8. Let's see if the Greninja hits 2 energy, we would have got there anyway. Ooh, we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have. We can get 1 back with the Training Court. We would have whiffed, but to be honest, we have all the things that we would need to get a big knockout in the next turn anyway. I'll just chuck 8 down here. Yeah, I'm fairly confident that we would have won the game, even if our opponent had gone for the Goodra V-Star. Let's ping all 8 of these energies into the bin, or into the deck, sorry, and take our final prize. Hey, listen, Dewgong's just taken a couple of big wins. It's beaten Zoroark, it's beaten Goodra. This deck might actually be something really good. I think it's definitely worth investigating. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I appreciate you as always, and Dewgong appreciates it, because it's a good deck. It's a good, fun deck. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching it. If you did, then you can consider liking the video. That would be great. It's the most significant thing you can do to support a new creator. I'm not new. I'm very old. To support your favorite creator, subscribe, or if you'd like to join these people, I don't know what side they're on, please consider becoming a channel member. That would be fantastic. And right now, up on the screen, if you want to play PTCG live for free, Zoroark V-Star is the deck to do that with. It's on the screen right now. You just click it. Just click the video, man. It's as simple as that.